Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello. So I've always been a dreamer. And if you ask any of my friends, you'll also find out that I've never been very realistic, which my poor parents, what they had to go through with a child that thought that everything was possible and actually took action on it. My parents are very hardworking entrepreneurs. So the entrepreneurial seed was planted very early. At 7, I had started my first lemonade stand. By 12, I was making and selling crafts. Now, I was making like little Barbie rocking chairs made out of clothespins and like all sorts of just fun, crazy things. And nobody ever kind of encouraged me to do it. I just wanted to do something to make some money and to just have some fun and be creative. By the time I was, when I was 12 years old, I got my first horse. And this was just an absolute dream for me. I remember it was actually in grade 6. Our teacher came up and said, well, we want you to do this project. We want you to draw this picture. And this picture, I want you to draw what you want to do when you grow up. What's your career? What is it going to look like? Well, I knew. Great big barn, rolling fields, wooden fences, horses everywhere. I was in grade 6. So it wasn't until I was 12 that I got my first horse. Found out she was pregnant, which was a bonus. So here's this 12-year-old kid. Now I've got 2 horses? Are you kidding? So I knew I'm already on my way to my business dream. And this is not something that I talked about with my family very much because they were always very busy doing everything that they needed to do. And when I was 15, I sat down with my parents and my sister and I said that this is what I want to do. I want to start a horseback riding facility. And I remember my sister buying me this poster. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember it was basically, it's awesome to dream. It's okay if you don't get it. Yeah, that was a mild version of my reaction to that. But I'll tell you what, it inspired me. It inspired me that I know you don't believe I can do it, but I know I can, and I'm going to. So I went to Student Ventures, and I got the application for summer loans. And I did the whole thing myself. My parents did not, I think back, and I think of all the things that I did, and just said, oh, Ma, here, look what I did. So I literally did that. I went through the entire proposal and prepared for my speech with the Student Ventures program, and I said, can I present it to you? Can I give it a test run? And at the end of that test run with my parents, they said, okay, we'll lend you the money. So here's this 15-year-old girl that now has this license to go buy horses, to build this dream and to do all of this great stuff. So June 16th, 1986, I started 5 Star Ranch. That was 28 years ago. And 5 Star Ranch has gone through some huge roles and changes. At one point in that business, I had over 300 students a week, a barn manager, an office manager, 9 instructors, 15 weekend staff, and at least 15 or 20 volunteers that would come out. And a full-time program that people would come to become instructors. We had clinics. It didn't matter if you had never seen a horse before or if you had been riding your whole life. I had something that I could provide to you. But it came at a really big cost. I worked incredibly hard. I always had these unrealistic dreams. I was married, had 2 kids at the time, and my husband and I bought this farm that was far beyond what we should have, preparing for our next stage of our journey in our life. And I'm not sure if that financial stress was the main factor of what was to come, but when my kids were 2 and 4, I became a single mom. Now, that wouldn't have been so bad because I can work really hard. The challenge was I could spend really hard, and I was really good at that. My dad, when I was a little kid, would give me, $5 to go to the candy store, and I would come back with $5 worth of candy. There's always something for a penny, right? So I never came home with money because I knew I could get more. That habit never shifted when I got older. So I remember it was in February, coming home, flicking on the light switch in the house. It's like, oh, power's not coming on. I thought, okay, I'm gonna make a phone call. I'll try another light socket. Looked at the fuses, but I pretty much knew what was going on. I called the hydro company and I begged. I'm like, I have 2- and 4-year-old kids in the house. I'm gonna farm alone. Please, let me have some light. Nope. And then, as luck would have it, it was probably about 2 or maybe 3 days later, the heating oil ran out. It's February. Now, the one saving grace in all of this is that the furnace was a wood oil furnace. So as long as I kept getting up through the night and kept that fire burning, at least we had heat in the house. And my kids at that age, it was just fun. We had candlelit dinner, you know. So you know, I really made sure, and it wasn't until actually this year that my kids heard that story and understood why we had candles. My job was to make sure that they didn't know the stresses that we were going through. But my job as a parent at that point, I mean, after I stopped crying myself to sleep, after I stopped feeling sorry for myself, after I got angry at all the people who didn't teach me about money and didn't teach me about the things that I needed to do, why didn't I have savings? Why didn't I think about the rainy day? When I kind of got to that point where I stopped feeling sorry for myself, I decided to do something about it. And what I decided to do was make sure that my children were never going to go through that kind of experience again. So we started talking about money. We started teaching them. I started teaching them about money. We, you know, came up with little chores that they could do, and I gave them the gift of understanding that they could start buying their own extras. So this became something exciting. This didn't become, Mom can't afford to get you anything extra. You're lucky to eat eating. I didn't do that. It was all the excitement about what they could do to earn these extra things. And I remember going to a farmer's market, and my youngest daughter, Caitlin, found this little teddy bear, and it was $20, and she's just, this was it. Like, this was, if you ever had a huge goal in your life, this little girl had that bear as her goal, and she wanted to take it home. And it's like, okay, Katie, how much money do you have in your play jar? And we sat down and we talked about it right there in front of that bear. Actually, she was holding the bear through the conversation. And we figured she had about 3 weeks more before she was going to have enough money to take care of that, to get that bear. So we were going to leave the store. But she looked up at me and said, like, Mommy, what if the bear's not here when we get back? I said, that's okay, baby. Then if it's not here, then you'll have $20 to spend on whatever else you want. But she took my hand, and we walked out of the store. And there was no crying. There was no fit. There was, though, that determined little girl that said, I know what I need to do. And in 3 weeks, she had the money, and we're heading back to the store, and I remember my heart was in my throat because I'm thinking, oh, please let the bear be there. Please let the bear be there. And I remember walking around the corner, and she started to run, and she grabbed that bear, and she hugged it. And here, of course, I'm crying, because that's what I do. And she went to the counter, and she pulled out her little purse, and she put her money on the counter. And I don't think that that cashier had any idea how important that was to her. But honestly, it was that important to me. Because what it signified for me is that we were going to be okay. They were going to be okay. And that they were going to have the tools to never end up in the mess that I got myself into. So as we kept going, of course, they wanted to be able to make more money because that was just a rush to be able to find that bear. And now they started their own business. My daughters were 7 and 9 when they started their first business. And years later, when my youngest daughter was 14, she decided it wasn't the right thing for her to do anymore. She decided that she wanted to focus on high school. She wanted to be in every club there was. She wanted to do all these things, and having a business and doing that didn't fit. And I was so proud of her for making that decision, for having that conversation. Because what a powerful, powerful thing for a child to say, this is not right for me, instead of waiting and taking 20 years of a job that you hate. So we sat down and we figured out the value of the company, and my oldest daughter, Ashley, bought her sister out. And it's amazing because what was good together, now Ashley had the freedom to run the business the way she wanted to. So she expanded the business, she wrote a book, she did, she has a back end to her business, all of these different great things. And that, honestly, what has inspired me to write my book, The Lemonade Stand Millionaire, because I see how empowered these kids are. And I look at all the other people that are out there that these kids that are running businesses. I've met so many amazing kids that are running businesses or just understand money, and they've taken the time, and their parents have encouraged them along the way. And I'm so thankful that I went through all of the nasty, terrible, horrible things that I went through. I'm so happy that I had those experiences, because it's what taught me what I needed to know to make sure that my kids had what they needed, and to be able to share that with other people. So my final, advice for everyone is that little realistic voice that you have inside your head. When you get that great big dream and you're really excited and you think, oh my gosh, I want to do this, and either the people around you say, that's not really a good idea, or have you really thought about that? Or your own head, your own voice says, it's just not possible, you can't do it, you're not worth it. Be unrealistic. Be unrealistic and set your goals high and do what you need to do to get there. And tell that little voice in your head, show them where the door is. Thank you.